Now what if we can move a root that is sitting high on the trunk to lower on the trunk? Last fall I worked on this hornbeam, and at that time I looked at this wound. You can see that the callousing is really starting, the wound is starting to close, and I wired the whole tree out and I decided upon this pretty much as the front. Now the tree looks okay, but this big scar is going to stay for a very long time, and in fact I don't think it will ever disappear. I'm still waiting for buds to pop on this side so that I get a balance branch here. But if I turn the tree around, this actually has a very nicely laid out setup. There's a branch here and a branch there that really welcome the viewer into the tree. The trunk is nice and wide, and there's no massive scars. There's this one and a smaller one here. But if I tilt the tree a little bit forward, then this could also work as a top. The problem is, the Nebari here doesn't have any nice roots. On the other side, here there's nice young roots that have appeared last year or 2 years ago, just after repotting, and the Nebari is also nice and wide. What I've done 2 years ago, I took these two roots, they were high on the trunk, and I moved them down. Now I'd like to see whether I can also take this one and move it down as well, and maybe there's a lower root that I can also pop up. I'm going to take it out of the pot, I'm going to repot it, and I'm going to show how this is actually connected to the trunk. If they have merged properly, I'm going to cut these two roots, and yeah, at the time maybe I decide that this is actually a nicer front. Not sure yet. What do you think? What front should I use for this tree? This one and hope for a branch here and wait for this to close? Or the other one? Of course, the front of the tree has been defined by the very nice wide root spread here. If I go for this side, the base is very narrow, and of course on the other side that's the same. I do like this, the root base is very nice, but having fewer scars is also nice. What would you do? So straight away it is clear, this tree did not need repotting. The roots have not completely penetrated the root ball. But that's okay, because I am trying to trigger this tree into creating new roots on the trunk line. So repotting often and reducing the roots that are there will help the tree to create more roots closer to the trunk. Of course, do this only when you know that the tree is healthy. I know this tree is healthy because it grew well last year. Let me just clean this out and I'll get back to you. Now what you can see here, there's two push pins. These are the original root locations, and I basically bent them down against the trunk. And in the trunk with a knife I cut a little channel. I cut the backside of the root off, and then I pushed the pin over it to keep it in place. Now a little dangerous what I want to do. I want to try and get this push pin out and see whether the root stays in place. So far so good. Has it merged though? It has not merged. How about the other one? This one has clearly merged. So this one I can basically just clip off on both sides. And the root has now moved from here to there. This one's not ready yet, so I'll have to reattach it. Now the question is, of course, if I now move here to the other side and I look at this root, I would like to get it here. But for this to work, the root here needs to be alive. Let me try whether that is alive. So the root level is about here, so I wanted to connect a little bit lower, just there. So I now have made a channel here. It is not a very clean cut. It was a little bit of an awkward place. It is still alive, but not very vibrant. And now for this root to connect on there, I need to be careful because it's easy to break the roots. I need to bring this down I need to remove some of the bark here on the side so that here on the side it can match. Push it in and with a pin attach it. This is a bit awkward, and having my camera around my fingers you're not going to see much anyway, so I'm just going to do that right now and I'll show you the result. Basically just peeling a sliver of the bark away, then moving it down with the exposed part of the bark against the cut that we just made, and then the awkward part is putting a pin in. All set to grow in this spot. And the same thing here. Exposed bark, get them together and put a pin in. Just a very quick prune of the outer rim of the roots is sufficient to get this to grow again, and hopefully set some more roots closer to the trunk. I guess no changes will be made to the front this year. I'm just going to plant it up just like this. Nice and flat root base, ready to go for another season. I am planting this very deep because I want more roots to form. I'm going to cover the whole Nebari and making sure that everything gets buried in the soil so that later in the year more roots can develop at the surface level. So with that, the work on this tree is done for the year. It's just going to go outside. Once the leaves come out, it's going to get full sun, lots of fertilizer, and for now I'll stick with this front and hope for a branch to arrive here. That front, this front.